If my 15-year-old self could see the life which I am living today, pinch herself disbelief. Whatever I am today is dependent on where from I have come and the events I have seen in my life. These events at a very young age in my life helped me to be observant about human behaviors and also helped me to be compassionate and help the people when they were facing any challenges. Unfortunately, where from I have come is not a very happy place. I was born in Kashmir, the Switzerland of India, known for its snow-clad mountains, pristine lakes. My hometown, Anantnag, is known for its sulfur springs, picturesque landscape. But unfortunately, our lives were very short-lived in that beautiful place. Year 1989 starts the simmering of events with Pakistan-backed terrorism. September 1989, I recollect, I was playing with my friend in our garden and suddenly we hear some noise. She runs to me, she hugs me and says, "Reetu, I hope it's not a bullet noise." I said, "No, don't worry." But unfortunately, our assumption was wrong. This was the evidence in our memory for the first Hindu minority killing which we saw in our life. Time started flying like sand from our hands. With every passing day, we would hear the news, so and so Hindu has been killed. And the time came, the most dreaded time of our lives. My uncle, who's a journalist, his name came in the hit list. Family gathers in this big living room and decides what to do now. And the best option is send most vulnerable members of the family to safe shores of Jammu. I recollect that day in the chilly winter of 1990. There's a blue ambassador waiting outside our home. I'm ready to get into that along with my cousin, who is 4 days old. Older cousin, uncle, and an aunt. Jimmy is waiting for me, my soulmate, my childhood friend. I go and I hug her. And I say, "Don't worry, I'll be back till things are okay here." Not even realizing that this is the last time I'm seeing my home. We leave towards Jammu, and I do meet Jimmy, but unfortunately, not at the promised place. 4 months down the line, I meet her in a migrant camp. When we see each other, we hug, because the first thought is we are both alive. The second thought which comes to us is our lives have turned upside down. We did survive that night, but what was waiting was a bigger trial. Survival after survival. This is a beautiful picture, very dear to my heart. This is me here in my hometown during our beautiful times. And with the advent of the events, we had a joint family of 21 members. We started staying in a 2-room tenement house, trying to pick the broken pieces of our lives. I recollect one evening, I was leaning towards the wall and suddenly I screamed. And when I started rolling on the floor, my uncle, my dad came out, only to find out I was bit by a scorpio. There's no electricity. There is no means to take me to the hospital. And the only advice which is given is, take her to the water canal near the house, because with the cold water, her vessels will freeze and the poison will not spread to her body. My dad takes me in his arms towards the water canal. The first thought which comes to my mind is, why me? My body is loose, I'm putting all my weight on him. He reaches to the water canal, he puts me into the water. I look at his face. He is looking peacefully at me. and thinking that his little girl will survive this night. And today, when I relate to that emotion as a parent, my heart cries out. And that very moment, I feel I need to give him something back and I need to help him. With that emotion, I see my body becoming stiff. I start holding my weight, not on putting it on him. I start pushing the water. This was a flash of light which came to my brain that I need to give. And it became a very profound lesson for me as I grew in my life to overcome many challenges. After 2 hours, I'm taken back home. Rags are tied around my bite. I'm given painkiller. And as someone said, if she survives by night, she'll be all right. I survived. And there were many who were unfortunate, who were bit by more poisonous scorpions and snakes in these migrant camps, and they didn't survive. Miseries didn't end here, and education had started becoming a challenge because we came in boat loads to Jammu, and colleges could not give admissions to all of us, and we started losing our academic years. My uncle comes from Himachal and he tells my father, why don't you send her to Himachal? At least she will save her academic year. Of course, there's no choice. And I have to go. Next day, 5:30 a.m., my dad is ready to drop me at the bus stop. First time at the age of 18, I'm leaving my parents. We go to the bus stop. He buys a ticket. I follow him and we get into this bus. When we get into this bus, he's behind me, I'm walking ahead of him with my bag in the hand. When I step into this bus, it's 5:30 a.m. I see a bus full of laborers, all men, going to Punjab. I said, oh gosh, I can't get into this bus. My body leans behind and I'm asking, what can I get? Can someone help me? Tell me, come back home with me, or I will accompany you. With these thoughts, my body is becoming loose. I said, Dad, I can't get into this bus of men. He says, remember, this bus is like a life. You will find men in your life. You have to figure out how to deal with it. And this became a profound lesson for me as I started my corporate life. 25 years later, that 18-year-old girl is standing in front of you. The girl who was scared in a state of helplessness in that bus. Life has been incredible journey with many ups, with many downs. There were many Scorpios which came in between. But today, I feel more blessed for the life I have. I'm an accomplished professional. I am married, mother to two beautiful kids, and my husband is an entrepreneur who runs two companies. Of course, he never listens to my HR advice. You know, typical husband. As life started normalizing, I started realizing what made us survive. Because it's not a usual circumstances what we went through. And I realized it's not only about us. There are many communities in the world, Jewish community who went through a Holocaust, like Sindhis who were uprooted during partition from Pakistan. What really made people survive? Who survived this? And as and when I kept thinking about it, outcome very clear to me. What is the commonality in all these situations? There is a situation which is bone chilling, which is tough. The outcome to this situation will depend only on your input. Brain is a beautiful device God has given us. It's a programming machine. The output will depend on the input it will give you. And dots started connecting for me. I said the first response I gave was, what can I give? In that water canal, when I looked at the face of my father and said, what can I give him? Automatically, my amygdala was stimulated for fight. chemical release in my body was pushing me to fight, and I was becoming a leader. Then the other response, which made sense to me, was, what can I get? This is exactly what happened to me in that bus. When I told Dad, I can't get into the bus, and he pushed me forward and told me, you will have to find your way. And eventually, when you say, what can I get? You actually you stimulate fear in your amygdala and you start becoming victim and circumstances drive you rather than you driving the circumstances. And when I started my corporate life 23 years back, these dots started connecting even more clear to me. There was a friend of mine in office who would tell me, you are like the universal mother with the lotus in her hand. And when someone comes to you with a problem, you shake the lotus and problem is solved. I said, frankly speaking, there is no lotus. I just help people to identify their patterns. And when I help them identify their patterns, they take the charge. I recollect I had a friend in my company who had given birth to a differently abled child. And when she came to me and said, why me? I said, just change your statements. Say, what can I give? And the moment you will change your statements, automatically the rest will start changing. And she saw how it really made the motherhood beautiful for her from a victim to a leader approach. One of the colleagues who came to me and said, my boss is not giving me promotion. I simply asked, what did you do? I did what I could. Now nothing I can do. I'm expecting him to do. I said, can I make a request? Just start doing what I can give. Try it mechanically for a few weeks and come back to me. And after a few weeks, he came and he said, Ritu, my boss has changed. I said, friend, your boss has not changed. You have changed. So, what can I give made me who I am today. And I could clearly see the correlation from a survivor to a thriver. Unfortunately, my dad is not there today. I lost him to cancer 13 years back, but I know he's watching me there from above. And I just want to tell him one thing. Want to tell him that your little girl survived and is today on this stage telling the world collective story of our survival. And whenever I see someone really struggling with the problem, I just want to tell them one thing. Look at the pattern. If we could survive in such harsh bonds, why can't you? Because ultimately, power is within us. And that power is what we choose to give or get. And trust me, if you go to this power of give, miracles will start happening around you. So, my humble request, execute your power. Thank you.